This is Thomas J. Seaborn Photography bringing you another tutorial. In today's tutorial, we're going to talk about creating 32-bit TIF files to make awesome HDR images. Some of the problems that I have had with HDR in the past is that you don't really have too much control over how the image is created and how the tones are going to be compressed. I like to maybe brighten some areas more than others and make the HDR effect stronger in others. And lucky for us, in the latest editions of Photoshop, it's really easy to create a 32-bit HDR TIF file. So to do this, it's pretty simple. Select your 3 raw images, click on Tools, Photoshop, Merge to HDR Pro. It'll open the images here in Photoshop, which takes not too long if you got a faster PC, but if you don't, you'll be here a while. And honestly, this image from Joshua Tree is actually pretty old, so these files aren't even that big. Sorry, I'm using 2 screens here. So now we have our uncompressed 32-bit image in the HDR Pro function of Photoshop. The settings you want to use are default. Check remove ghosts if you have anything that's moving. In this one, I do not, other than that big dust spot here and here that are already driving me nuts. Here's your tone compressor. Move it to the right, makes your image darker. Moving it more to the left will make it brighter. Typically, when this image is created in Photoshop, it's usually a little bit darker than what you see on the screen here. So I like to make it a little bit brighter than I would like. So the beauty of what we're doing here is we're going to create one image that has a dynamic range of God only knows how many stops. I'm guessing it's like 30. It can be pushed and pulled like any just normal RAW file would. Then in any RAW file you would typically edit in Adobe Camera Raw. So from here we'll go save as a TIFF file, but not any ordinary TIFF. We want to do it as a 32-bit float, which is this option right here. I don't change anything other than leaving this at the whatever that means, and I always like to have the best image possible, so I never compress any of my images. So then you'd hit OK and save. I've already saved this, so I'm not going to go ahead and save it again. So then we can go back to Bridge, and there's your 32-bit TIFF file. So then we can open this up and do our normal edits that we would do to any raw image, but now we have way more latitude and longitude, if you will, to adjust the highlights and the shadows. So look how far you can move this slider before you lose all your details. We're up to 5 stops that we're pushing this, and we still have details in these darker shadows. The inverse on this image isn't quite as true just because of the way I bracketed it, but still we're going down pretty deep into this file. And what's great about this over using Photomatics or just HDR Pros, you're not really increasing the noise at all. And to me that is absolutely huge because I want to make big prints with this, and if you got a lot of noise, it's going to look like crap. So a couple cool little tricks you can also do once you're in here is on an image like this where it's not too crazy of a selection to make, I like to just use the graduated neutral density filter. Oh, we have to change one of our exposures, so let's make it brighter. So voila, let's add some light to that foreground. I like to make these as gradual as possible and as subtle as possible while still achieving the overall effect that I'm going for. So I think that looks good. What's really cool about this new Camera Raw is that you have the ability to remove parts of the graduated neutral density filter, or you can add parts to it. So here, since we did, we're lighting the image, I think we want to remove it, but I don't really recall. But okay, so we want to add to this part of the image to make the rock here brighter. Whoops, Control Z to back up. So what we want to do is go to Brush, grab Plus, and then I like to use a lower flow here. This is sort of like opacity when you're using your paintbrush in Photoshop. I think the effect's probably maybe a little bit too strong. The only complaint I have with this is that, as you can see, there's no auto masking function, so you would have to erase out of this. I could go in here and be a lot more detailed and more careful, but I'm just showing you Just kind of that cool trick here within the graduated neutral density filter. Let's go ahead and clear all that out of there and just try a different way. We can also use, which might actually work even better, is the auto masking function with the adjustment brush tool. I already uploaded a video kind of quickly explaining what this does and does not do. So if you haven't quite figured out how to use the auto mask function within the adjustment brush tool, I recommend you check that out. But what we'll do here is we'll increase our brush size big time and just auto mask that right on there. I'm pretty happy with that selection. Pretty happy with that selection. Perfect. Sometimes it's good to leave those darker shadows unaffected. So let's go ahead and bump up some of that exposure. I think we've lost a lot of contrast, which can happen. So what you can do is go back up here to add and just click around some more to add greater tones from the auto select tool. That doesn't even look very good, so I don't really know what's up. That looks much better. I think we probably used too much shadows or just too much adjustment. I think that looks pretty good. And as you can see, there's a little bit of haloing around here, but overall, I think that we did a pretty good job. Here's our before and after. It's not the best HDR image I've ever created, but I was just quickly kind of walking you through to show you how you can apply that. So thanks for checking this out. If you have any questions, shoot me off a comment in the comment section. Thanks for checking out my video if I haven't already mentioned that.